If we are looking to up our productivity game, especially if we want to increase performance instead of just output, we need to look beyond time management. The advanced productivity approach is to focus on attention management. In this video, we'll be looking at developing an attentional control framework. Specifically, we want to learn how attention works and how we can hack it at a neurological level that leaves us free to choose whatever techniques that best fit our lifestyle. Paying attention is a very expensive endeavor. In order to process all the information, attention uses up our neurotransmitter availability and engages the brain, one of our most energy-demanding organs. And this happens whether our attention is fragmented or focused, which means that our daily attention is actually a zero-sum game. There is only so much energy we can spend every day on the various cognitive activities before we experience attention fatigue. The key determinant of performance productivity is intensity. When Cal Newport was researching for his second book, he discovered that the top students in the country's most competitive schools actually spent less time studying than students from the lower GPA brackets. Various researchers have confirmed that top-scoring students are simply more efficient and performed better without spending excessive hours studying. Similarly, memory athletes are able to perform impressive memorization feats not because they are born with better recall abilities. In fact, studies have shown that most memory champions and chess grandmasters have average memory just like you and me. They simply have mastered attentional control. So to unlock our own potential, it's not about how much time we spend, but rather how much we optimize our attention. If you have been sucked into the social media black hole before, you probably would have already noticed that your ability to focus has deteriorated. There is a simple reason for this: neuroplasticity. Research has shown that prolonged focus allows myelin to grow around the set of engaged neurons, significantly improving its conduction speed, structure, and health. This means that the engaged neural circuit is able to fire more effortlessly and thus process information more efficiently. However, if your attention is diffused, such as when you're using social media, there is too much stimulus to isolate a set of neurons for myelin growth to be activated. So, if you're used to do deep work, you may find flow states are harder and harder for you to get into and sustain because you've stopped strengthening your neural pathways. The analogy of how our brain is like a group of muscles, it's cliche, but it does illustrate how our focus improves with practice. Likewise, the less mindful we are with attention, the harder it becomes for us to use it deliberately. If we are trying to optimize performance productivity, distraction is worse than procrastination. We've already discussed how fragmented attention doesn't help our neural circuits to process information, but we must also remember that our attention is finite. Distractions are extremely costly on our attention availability because we are prone to remember unfinished tasks compared to the completed ones. This is called the Zeigarnik effect. Activities that have been interrupted hog our memory like background apps consuming computer RAM. When we keep getting distracted and the list of unfinished tasks grows, it causes more and more mental load, leaving us stressed and fatigued. Research has also discovered that people who are constantly multitasking are actually addicted to distractions. Brain scans revealed that they are extremely inefficient thinkers as they tend to engage unnecessary parts of their brains. In the long run, they lose the ability to filter out irrelevancy, compromising their decision-making and judgment calls. This is important for us not just as individuals, but also for managers. If you're managing a team, it's helpful to keep this in mind to ensure that you're not accidentally sabotaging your team's productivity. We live in an era of hyperconnectivity and noise, so it's no surprise that digital and dopamine detoxes are rapidly gaining popularity. But we can make them better. By reframing how we approach these detoxes, we can increase their effectiveness. Digital or dopamine detoxes are usually scheduled breaks to reduce overstimulation and instant gratifications from network and social media platforms. However, this approach suggests that our baseline is high stimulus, which is counterintuitive to what we are trying to achieve. We can invert this by re-establishing being mindful and focused as our default, and then schedule breaks from this baseline. So instead of I'm taking a break from distractions to focus on what I want to do, it becomes I'm taking a break from what I want to do by rewarding myself with some distractions. This approach sharpens our attentional control by making it a priority and encouraging deliberate practice. But as we've established earlier, this is a world of hyperconnectivity. For many of us, it's simply unrealistic not to be knee-deep in the fray. This brings us to our last tip. Most of us have obligations. We cannot afford to just drop everything and hide somewhere just so we can focus. But it doesn't mean that we are completely powerless. We have more control than we think. And for us to exercise that control effectively, we need a game plan. Step number 1, figure out our long-term objective. What are we trying to achieve with attentional control? Is it to publish a book, become a better thinker in a particular area, master a specific skill? Are there any tasks assigned to us that overlap with what we want to achieve? Could certain work be tweaked so that it builds towards our objective? Do we need to carve out additional time to pursue this? Identifying what is important to us is the most productive use of our time and energy, because without knowing how we want to prioritize our never-ending to-do list, we'll be forever distracted by trivial tasks. Step 2. Batch our work according to the attentional intensity it requires. Research shows that we can only stay in a deep focus state between 1 to 4 hours every day, depending on how comfortable we are with deliberate concentration. So, optimize this time frame to ensure that we will not be distracted by shallow or low-value work during this period. This also taps into neuroplasticity to ensure that we can focus longer and better with time. Step 3. Create a system. Willpower is extremely fickle. We cannot rely on our emotional states to consistently make good decisions. We need to systemize these, ideally with a routine. This is where the different time management techniques come in. Depending on your lifestyle and preference, build up a system that works for you. And the last step, learn what restores your attention. The attention restoration theory suggests that mental fatigue and concentration can be improved by looking or spending time in nature. Although it's unclear how much empirical evidence there is to support this theory, it is still important to develop an understanding of what activities rejuvenates you and what drains you. We want to remember that attention is ultimately a zero-sum game. If you're constantly servicing low-impact tasks, we are denying time and attention for high-impact activities.